Nepal, despite its lower carbon emissions, is vulnerable and at high risk to climate change impacts due to fragile topography, climate-sensitive livelihoods of people, and limited adaptive capacity. As nations work to help limit the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius, the Nepal government has also introduced the nationally determined contributions, which has highlighted electric vehicles as a key to attaining the global targets. More in this report.
The transport sector in Nepal contributes around 13% of the total greenhouse gas emission in the country. An electric vehicle could be a solution to many of the environmental problems facing the world. Fossil fuel consumption and greenhouse gas emission would both be reduced, and for a country like Nepal that imports fuel worth over 250 billion rupees annually, it would help narrow the ever-widening trade deficit. But even with a handful of options to choose from, the number of electric vehicles in operation, as per climate change tracker, is just 1%. 34-year-old Atit Shrestha, who runs a restaurant in the capital, despite his concerns for the degrading environment, recently purchased a diesel-run four-wheeler that cost him over 5 million rupees.
The main problem is charging port.
The main problem is charging point. It's risky to take electric vehicles on a long trip. The government some time back had also hiked the price of e-vehicles, which had turned me down. We never know what's going to happen to the prices in future.
The government of Nepal, through its second nationally determined contribution, submitted to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, has pledged to raise the portion of private e-vehicles in the total annual sales to 90% by 2030, and in case of four-wheeler public passenger vehicle to 60%. The intention is to reduce the demand for fossil fuel by 28% and the same for greenhouse gas emissions. The government, proposing a replacement budget, recently announced of establishing 500 charging stations across the country to support the electric vehicle system. The government has also signed an agreement with Saja Yatayat to procure 300 electric buses. However, experts highlight the importance to also focus on other e-vehicle segments.
Government policy has only been focusing on mass transport. If we are to attain 100% use of electric vehicles, we should also bring electric taxis, three-wheelers, auto rickshaws and microbuses. We have yet to focus on these electric vehicle segments.
At present, in case of private electric vehicles, general public have to bear 10% customs taxes. The government has called on 10 companies to manufacture e-vehicles within the country itself, which it believes will help attain one among the NDC targets.
The government has also called on 10 big companies to manufacture electric vehicles here itself, based on requirements specific to our country. We are hopeful that the budget introduced this time around will help us meet NDC targets.
Based on a recent assessment report, 35 districts of Nepal are at high to a very high vulnerability risk to climate change. Switching to e-vehicles can be a strong step forward to reducing the impacts of climate change, especially for the vulnerable population.
Should the government be able to invite these companies to at least assemble electric vehicles, if not manufacture within the country itself, the general public would have a variety of options to choose from in competitive prices as well. This would encourage them to switch to electric options and thereby also helping the global target of meeting zero carbon emissions by 2050. Now, will that happen? It's a wait and watch for now. With Murari Ghimire on cameras, Sarah Sapsunama for Kantipur News.